Pleasant good day, everyone, and welcome to tip number 6. I'm very excited to continue our conversation we've been having on the deficit thinking and how we can counteract that. How we can move from deficit to strength-based approaches. How we can ensure that we empower our students. As a matter of fact, as we talk a lot more about culturally relevant and responsive pedagogy, you're going to hear from your own professors and from myself and whoever teaching you these courses and that have this conversation. You will continually hearing the idea of holding our students in high expectations. And what does that really mean? And I'm going to talk about that for sure, because we're using it a lot. But what does that really mean when you say you have high expectation? What does that mean? Is it additional pressure for our students without support? So think about that, right? Um, Wishing you all an amazing week this week. But as we do that, I want us to really focus on the language of hope. And why I say that is because as I've been going around having conversation with educators about deficit thinking, and funny enough with TCs as well, not just this year, but all the other years, they will come back to me and they will say to me, wow, I heard this conversation in the staff room. I heard this teacher saying this to the class, and the language was so deficit. It was borderline rude. It was borderline um, just putting down our students. And so that is one of the major part. Sometimes we come to these workshops and these sessions and we have this grand idea of pedagogy we're going to find somewhere, in some journal, which is there, of course, in our toolboxes. But sometimes what we forget is just your presence in a classroom, TCs. Just the way you approach your students, the energy you bring in the room. Let me just say this. I've been doing this for a long time. I can tell you, teacher presence, a teacher's smile, a teacher's heart, the way you say good morning, the way you speak to your students, it changes a lot of things. One of the things that I learned is, how do I talk to students? I remember years ago, how do I talk to students when they're absent? Is it that I accuse them of staying away? Is it that I accuse them of being pretentiously ill or sick? Is it that I accuse them of not wanting to engage? Or do I make sure they understand? Welcome back to grade 5. Welcome back to grade 8. Welcome back to my reading lab. Welcome back to my class. Whatever class I'm teaching, welcome back. And guess what? I missed you. And while I missed you, you also missed some good stuff. So let's work together to get it done. That is a different approach. And I really wanted, that is why I'm making sure our tips are conversational, because I've been there and you have been there. Some of you, you are new to this, and I can get it. I see it. Some of you are having some aha moments, some major aha moments to understand what really happens in school. And so deficit thinking, why we need to dismantle that. And our first one is, this deficit thinking oversimplifies students' vast and heterogeneous experiences. We have to make sure we are reminded that all our students, they are not the same. And some of us who we are working with racialized students, no, all Black students are not the same. And all Black students from continental Africa are not the same. All racialized refugee students are not the same. All refugees are not the same. All LGBTQ students, we have to come away from this idea that when I see you, I just see one group. We have to spend time to think about one size does not fit all. And I'm coming back to that in our tip number 8. Deficit thinking focuses, on students' perceived shortcomings. We talk about that. What is missing? Can we talk about what is left or what is there? And deficit thinking focuses, I keep on using the word focuses wrong, right? Focuses on language that further oppresses. And that's something I want you to unpack. I've been having great conversation with persons in special education, and they're looking at the language they're using. I remember, someone mentioned that, she has been unpacking the word extra help. Is it extra help, or is it the help that they need? And so we have to really think about how we center our students in the work. And deficit thinking undermines, period. And so what do we want to do? We really want to grab our toolboxes, all of us. All of us. I want you to grab your toolbox and think about all the strength based approaches that you see happening in your school. If you pass a classroom and you see a teacher using a strength-based approach, you hear the principal on the mic, you see something outside on the playground, in the gym, something in an assembly, an online class, whatever you see an idea, and you see it as a strength-based approach, opposite of the negative and the deficit focus and what is missing, take it and put it in your toolbox. Please, I'm asking you, put those things in your toolbox. And why do I talk about a toolbox? Because years of teaching allows me or allow me to recognize that when I save things in my toolbox, I can take them out and use them when I need them. You may not use them on fall to 2021 practicum. You may need it for your winter practicum. And so gather these things. This practicum is not a time just to show what you know or show what you want to try. It's a time to gather stuff. It's a time to learn stuff. It's a time to pack your toolboxes. It's a time to gain, to learn. And so I want you to do that. And the last thing I'm going to say as we go, I made this post on my social media the other day, and I got quite a bit of, people giving me back such amazing reaction and feedback and suggestions. Because sometimes when we hear the word deficit and we hear the word disrupt, we go to the negative. And that's a part of it. But another part we can disrupt is how we love our students. So disrupting, you could demonstrate. Disrupting, you could block the street. Disrupting, you could change a curriculum and adjust the book and take out. Disrupting, you can speak up, speak out, call in. You could do all of that. Write letters. You can stand up, complain. A report. All of those things are amazing to do. But loving our students is a major part of disrupting deficit thinking. Speaking life to our students is key. Using the language of hope and becoming is powerful. There are so many ways to disrupt. Some disrupt looks tools break, destroy, and dismantle. Other disrupting tools, they heal, they nurture, they hug, they restore, and they hold. So I want you to think about the many ways you can disrupt. And one of those ways you can do that is showing that you care. The duty of care, the intentionality behind your care. And I'm going to leave you with this consideration. I always talk about what happens with the bully outside on the playground. And I've been talking about that for a while. And as an educator, I've experienced this. It takes so much work for us to focus on the bully. The parent meetings, the going to the office, the call into the desk, and the constant work to deal with the bully. And I'm going to tell you something. Many times what we do, we forget the victim. We forget the child who's been bullied. And so I have been doing something for years, a strategy I've been using for years. I have asked myself, do I give the bully the attention or do I give the child who's being bullied? Don't worry, I deal with the bully. Don't worry about that. But I spend quality time to make sure I restore and create a sense of belonging and a safe first space for the child who's being bullied. So think about that as a strength-based approach as well. Do I'm going to put my energy in fighting this bully, or or will I put my energy in loving the victim, caring for the victim, attending to the child who's being excluded and bullied? So there are many ways to disrupt. Let us do the disruption because you are all we got. You are the person we have to use. You are the future. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for learning. Thank you so much for unlearning and applying and acting. There's a lot of learning going on, but we need to make sure we are doing the acting.